Welcome to my latest experiment. This is the big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy and Harley podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet. Don't owe nobody, always on the fucking job, I got no hobbies, got the city fucking with me, cause I'm homegrown, vibing out more than my phone though, leave me alone, me on my own though. Welcome to the Guy and Harley podcast. I'm Guy Pigton.
I feel like that was a particularly uninspired delivery.
That was great.
It was really... that wasn't your best.
It was amazing.
The trick is you've got to deliver it conversationally, perhaps. Otherwise, they're just like, why are these guys rapping poorly?
That was me delivering it conversationally.
Right, okay, all right. Who was that?
There was...
Chingy.
No. There's not going to be any Chingy lyrics on the podcast.
Well, it might come from me. I actually like one of his old songs about his grandma dying.
Well, it's unlikely there's going to be Chingy on the podcast. But
next week, Chingy.
Next week, a rapper that anyone under the age of 20 has never heard of. Chingy, a rapper who was successful approximately a decade ago for a minute.
our listeners are not under 20, so we're okay. We're not cool with the kids, so
yeah.
So it's cool.
Who are those guys that we were on their podcast a while ago?
Oh, you're going to have to be a little more specific. Tyler and Luke?
Yeah, Tyler and Luke scratching their heads right now. The fuck is Chingy? And why are they talking about him?
Go check out the Tyler and Luke podcast. Those guys interview us regularly, and we love it.
So, no, that was Big Sean from his new album. I Decided from his song Bounce Back, which is his popular song at the moment on the radio. So there you go. Sky and Harley podcast, episode 95. 95 years old today. Approaching the 100th.
We have zero plan for the 100th episode. It's only 5 weeks away. We should really start thinking about having a party or something.
You should really start thinking about going through all the podcasts and picking out some highlights. Yep.
Yeah.
Good job for you to do there.
Right. I'll put it on my list of jobs to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a very special episode. It is the third annual Oscars special.
Well, we're going to get right into the Oscars, are we?
Well, I thought we were. If you want, we can actually start with a little bit of acting. I just came from an audition.
Oh, good for you. And how was it? I hope it was fucking good because it's useless now, isn't it? Fuck's sake, man, you're amateur.
And how did that go?
I don't think it actually. I mean, it was fine. There's different types of auditions out there. This one paid $12,500 if I got it. 12.5 G's. And it was in an Australian accent. It only plays in Australia. And I don't know. There's different types of auditions out there, right? And some of my least favorites are ones where you don't have any dialogue and you don't have to talk to people and you've got to just pretend there's a dragon looking at you or, something silly. And or the other ones I don't like are when they're they put you with somebody and they just pair you randomly with somebody and yet it's meant to be this great chemistry that you have. So it's like
great rapport.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you guys just met. Be best friends. And then you've got to...
You love each other. You've been married to this person for a decade.
Well, see, I got lucky because I was cast twice in ads with a woman by the name of Jess Holly Bates, and in both auditions we had really great chemistry, so it was fine. It was easy, and it came across like we really had been husband and wife for a while, perhaps, so it was really good. But in this particular case, I was with this dude who I don't know from a bar of soap. I've actually auditioned with him once before in the same situation where we had to be all matey, and I didn't know him then very well. I'd only just met him that time.
And you failed to convey a friendship then as well.
Yeah, basically. We didn't get neither of us got the role last time, and I suspect that neither of us got the role this time, because it was just, it was like, okay, yeah, good, but remember, be best friends. You guys are best friends, It's like, okay, man, if you guys want us to be besties, at least give us some warning and give us some put us in touch with who we're going to be acting across from, so we can do a rehearsal, or at least ask us if there's anybody on the list of auditionees that potentially we have a existing chemistry with.
Well, they'll never do that.
Oh, of course they won't. They'll just throw us in there and say, be best friends.
But what would be good...
Which is the job description, to be fair. I'm not complaining too much.
It's acting.
That is acting.
Acting is pretending something rather than it being a real-life situation.
I'm just saying, if you want real-life chemistry to be portrayed on camera, it's easier if you actually know the person.
It's true. It is easier. It's also true that, obviously, you do have chemistry with some people and you just don't with other people. It's just not there. You just wouldn't believe it. And that's kind of really just completely random.
Yeah.
There's no, I remember the one big ad that I got for Atid Tourism. I think I auditioned with someone different the first time. And then they kind of cherry-picked me and someone else from a different audition.
See, that's the thing.
So they weren't even and we were a couple, and they weren't even I don't even know if they auditioned us together or not.
Yeah.
Before we were selected, it was just like, oh, okay, cool. And it was fine, but they just don't care.
Well, the other thing is, sometimes you do these auditions where they pair you randomly with somebody and you don't have any chemistry, and then it's hard to stand out to their eye as being good, you as an individual, because they only ever saw you as part of a
shitty
duo. Exactly.
Shitty duo that's been making sketches and films for 15 years.
No, well, that would have been fine if it was you and me doing the ad together, doing the audition together. It would have been good. We would have been bumfucking in the audition room. That chemistry would have been going off. But no.
Speaking of bumfucking,
you were last episode. I had to hoon out the door at the end of the episode because I was getting picked up to be taken away to my role. I had a role in Tongariro, it took us nearly 6 hours to get there.
Why did it take 6 hours?
Well, I think the lady I was traveling with is a very conservative driver, but not too bad. But she was a conservative driver, which was good. We got there safely, but there was also roadworks, and we got a little bit of traffic on the way out of Auckland. We caught Hamilton traffic as we passed through there, it was just busy and just took a long time. So it was 6 hours after that podcast before I got to where I was going. Slept in this place at a sort of a friend of the production's house. I got my own room, but I didn't really get my own room because there was a mouse that lived there, and he came out. He didn't even care that I was there. The lights were on and everything. He just came out and was like, "What up?" And then,
"What up, son? What you doing in my room?"
Pretty much.
This is my room.
Yeah.
I'm a mouse.
And I was thinking, I was like, okay, so hang on. This room that I'm staying in is not, it's actually part of a sleep out. And I was like, okay, so if I was a mouse that had the run of this place for 90% of the year, where would I probably sleep?
In the bed.
Wouldn't I? You got to sleep in the bed somewhere. You're going to snuggle up in those blankets.
It's comfy.
It's comfy. He probably has burrowed into the mattress somewhere, and he lives in there probably, right? And here I was sleeping on it, perched on the edge because I was terrified. Yeah. And he just he really didn't care I was there. And then in the night, he started crawling up the curtains, which were directly next to my bed. So he had climbed onto my bed, run across it, climbed up the curtains, and was scrabbling around on the curtains, and I had to kick the curtains a couple of times to make him shut up because he was keeping me awake. And the lady in the next room said she squealed in the middle of the night because she felt something run across her legs as well.
Yeah.
And there was millions of flies, so many flies that it was actually a cacophony of noise when they were buzzing. But it was free and they were friendly and all that, but still
the mice and the flies were friendly
and they didn't charge me. But it was good though. It all went well. And then
what was the mouse doing on the curtains?
I have no idea.
Why was he climbing up the curtains?
Well, why does anybody do anything?
Well, normally there is a reason. He's not looking for. Is he looking for food? Do mice eat spiders?
Well, yeah, mice eat bugs, I'm pretty sure.
So maybe he was just looking to eat a spider, I
Hunting
guess.
for spiders, hunting for flies, maybe. I'm pretty sure mice will eat little insects.
I always was an impression they weren't really big on insects.
They exclusively ate man-made cheese.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, well, so anyway, the whole reason I was down there in Tongariro was to film my second day for a feature film that I've been cast in, my gay rape scene, in which I had to...
My big fat gay raping?
my big fat gay rape scene. And so...
Oh, boy.
But, look... It was a resounding, as far as...
We can't really call the podcast that, unfortunately.
My big fat gay rape scene.
Yeah.
No, we better not. I'm Facebook friends with some of the creators.
Yeah.
And so we've got to call it the Oscar special anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway... I had the gay raping went well, is what I'm saying, and I had to. The guy I was acting across was quite good,
and the guy that you were molesting,
the guy I was raping was quite good, and
he convincingly portrayed someone being raped.
It didn't help that my boner was digging into his leg, No,
well,
that's unprofessional.
They added an extra element
of realism
to his fear.
But so, yeah, I sort of had to... Now, there was no actual raping. It was more like me forcing myself upon somebody.
Just molesting.
And then they sort of...
sexual harassment, but not...
Fight back,
Yeah.
Like, so it's not actually a sex scene per se.
Yeah.
It's the precursor to a sex scene. But still, I had to be a very grimy and grubby and sort of just generally malicious and horrible person for it. And I got to tell you,
you liked it.
Felt good. Felt good. It felt good to do some real acting for a start. Because I'm generally speaking,
to actually play someone that is not close to you.
Well, yeah, okay. For a start, not close to me, not just a 30-second or whatever commercial with like a couple of lines, not a comedy at all, so a serious role. And also it was really important that it be kind of, intimate and menacing, which was great. It was good. It felt good to do some real acting. And I will look for, hopefully it turns out good and it will look great on my show reel next to the dick jokes and fart jokes. It will really be a good juxtaposition.
Nicely sandwiched in there.
It will be.
Well, this is the Oscars episode, and so, the Oscars was a bit of a debacle this year. Did you hear about this?
Did you hear about this? Did you do this? Yeah, so La La Land got announced as the winner, but in reality, some other movie was.
Yeah, we'll play the clip right now.
And the Academy Award for Best Picture.
Come on. La La Land.
People everywhere. Repression is the enemy of civilization. So keep dreaming, because the dreams we dream today will provide the love, the compassion, and the humanity that will narrate
Jeff, Hommage vous adore. Matt Pluff, you kicked this off. And Damien Chazelle, we're standing on your shoulders. We lost, by the way, but,
Guys, I'm sorry. No, there's a mistake. Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture.
Moonlight won. Come on, this is not a joke. This is not a joke. I'm afraid they read the wrong thing.
This is not a joke. Moonlight has won Best Picture. Moonlight, Best Picture.
So that happened.
Right. So
the biggest blunder in Oscars history that has never happened before.
Yeah.
There was rumours that allegedly a wrong actress, Marissa Tomei, was named as Best Actress one year, and it was a mistake, and they didn't correct it because...
egg on their face.
Yeah. However, that has been said to be simply a rumour.
Right.
And that's not actually true. It just seemed a bit strange the way the guy who read it out.
But so in this case...
they announced the wrong winner.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know who that old man is.
Well, that old man, Harley, is Hollywood royalty Harvey Keitel.
Right.
Do you know who Harvey Keitel is?
Well, he's an actor.
Was at a certain point the most famous, one of the most famous and biggest box office draws in cinema history.
Well, you have one fucking job, Harvey.
I don't know.
One fucking job, mate.
I don't know.
Read what the envelope says.
He did read what the envelope said.
Well, what did the envelope say? It said Emma Stone La La Land.
Yeah, so basically what happened is he was given
the
wrong envelope. Yeah.
Right.
So apparently, because she'd already been given that envelope, right?
Yeah. Who had?
Emma Stone
yeah.
for Best Actress, and yet they gave her this. So apparently there's 2 envelopes
that say Emma Stone La La Land.
One on either side, depending on what side of the stage the presenter comes from. And so basically Harvey Keitel got given this envelope.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Right. Well, somebody got fired for that.
Well, the envelope guy.
The envelope guy, his head rolled, for sure.
So, but anyway, I guess the Oscars, we just talk about a little bit about...
Well, how do you give the wrong fucking envelope? Like, you're standing at the side of the stage, you got one job, give the envelope to the Harvey fucking Keitel, right? So, presumably, each envelope says on the outside, Best Picture, Best Actress, Best whatever, right? Surely. So, at some point, this buffoon picked up 2 envelopes and it said Best Actress, and he was like, they're doing Best Picture at the moment, I'll give him the Best Actress envelope.
Well, I guess he didn't look...
Or was the envelope mislabeled? In which case, someone else's head rolls, the person who labeled the outside of the...
Well, we don't know specifically how that envelope got into... it's never happened before.
Well, look, I reckon that ultimately it's actually going to be one of those things that's just great for both of them, really, because now they're both films going to live on in notoriety for this incident, and it wasn't really stolen thunder from one of them. Well, like Moonlight didn't really have its thunder stolen in the sense that, sure, it didn't get its awesome stage presence, time on stage to say thanks as much as the other as it could have. But the flip side of that is way more people are going to hear about it now. It's going to be way more viral.
It's kind of a interesting...
I mean, I watched it. I wouldn't have watched that if there hadn't been a fuck up.
Well, I think the other thing to think about when you're like, oh man, this is crazy, is that, because I was like, this would be horrible, right?
That is a classic Pigville close but no cigar.
Yeah.
That's exactly what would happen to us. Well, we would be La La Land.
Yeah, well, that was what I was thinking. But at the end of the day, if you just go through some of the other... So, Best Actress, Emma Stone won that for La La Land. Best Director was Damien Chazelle for La La Land. They kind of already won, if you know what I mean. So the director's like, oh, I didn't get Best Picture. Oh, well, I guess I just have to go home and polish this Oscar that I have for Best Director, which is better anyway.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
For me personally, it's better. If I missed out on Best Director but I got Best Film, I'd be more pissed that way.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, yeah, but what about Director? I directed that.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. I guess it is strange just that, people... There's very few repeat Oscar winners, right? So for both of these directors, it's entirely possible, very likely, that they may never again win an Oscar or be nominated again. So you're dreaming of this moment, and then it gets announced, and then they go, just kidding. And you go, fuck, that's really took the wind out of my sails. I've been dreaming of the moment that I stood on this for 20 years.
Yeah, but like you say, they did already.
But that's the thing.
They already got that moment.
It would be so much different. Because also, the director who won so Moonlight won Best Picture. The director of Moonlight didn't win Best Director, but I believe he won Best Adapted Screenplay.
Right.
So he'd already won a fucking Oscar as well.
Yeah. So they're all Oscar winners.
So it's kind of it would be horrible if the other team...
was a real underdog.
Or had won nothing up until that point that had not acknowledged the film. So this was their one acknowledgement of the film. Best film! You fucking did it! Oh, no, you didn't. We read the thing out. That would be an absolute tragedy. So... devastating for whoever it was.
Although, again, I really feel like if that was the case, you would still get way more sales and all that stuff, way more people looking up your movie, because they would just want to know. They would want to know about the people behind this dashed hopes. You know, I think it would still ultimately, just from a publicity standpoint, be a good thing for the film. You know?
Well,
and you still got to step on that stage, however briefly.
It is weird, though, because, you know, for the people, Moonlight, who won it, they were planning, you know, okay, this is what I'll say if I win.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, fuck, we didn't win.
Yeah. Oh, well.
2 minutes later, just kidding, you did win? Wait, did we win or didn't we win?
Yeah.
Is this are they going to change their mind again? I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I guess we're going up now.
Yeah.
We're going up. I've kind of forgotten everything I was going to say because I'm really fucking confused right now.
Yeah.
I guess we did it.
You wouldn't get to say and thank all the people you actually planned on it and say all the things you wanted to do.
Couple of other fun facts.
Yeah.
Barry Jenkins, who directed Moonlight, youngest ever director to win Best Film.
Yeah, how old is he?
Take a guess.
47.
He's much younger than that, mate.
32.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
He's 30-fucking-2. Guess
Right.
how old we are. Older than that.
Knocking on 34.
Exactly.
34 next month for me. Just by the way, guys, if you guys want to send me presents, you can. PayPal, harleyneville@hotmail.com is all you need, and it's my birthday next month, April 13th.
Some people making Moonlight, other people making older.
Yeah. Well, wait till older comes out, mate. We'll be up there on that stage. We'll be up there on that stage, up on the Oscar stage.
I'm confident we won't be on that stage. Just quietly. I have a funny feeling.
So the person in that clip who was saying, this is not a joke, you know, La La Land did not win, Moonlight won, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That was the producer
of La La
Land, which
Yeah.
I thought was quite cool. He was kind of cool because he was up there, he was quite adamant, and he was not, he was pulling no punches. He was like, yeah, look, this is a fuck up.
This is some fuckery right here.
Yeah.
And that's who it would be most upsetting for, really, the producers, because they're the ones that kind of get to claim that best film thing in a way that, you know, obviously they have no claim over best director, as much as I'd love to.
Well, it's still, at the end of the day, though, they did still produce a multiple Oscar-winning film, you know, so it's all kind of like, they're all winners, basically.
It's like, boo, and I guess at the end of the day, boo-hoo, I got nominated for an Oscar. My film is so good that it was nominated as one of the best films of that year. And I got to go to this awards ceremony and have heaps of spotlight on my film and have heaps more money revenue given to my film because it's an Oscar winner, so there's more interest in it, or Oscar nominee. Like, oh, my life is over because it didn't win it.
Yeah, well, you know that all the people involved are almost certainly going to have their next projects greenlit, you know, because they can put that on there.
Yep.
They've got those connections.
Well, let's just quickly break down. So Best Picture the winner was Moonlight. The other nominees were Arrival, Fences, your favourite Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, Hidden Figures, La La Land, Lion, and Manchester by the Sea.
Okay, of which I have seen Hacksaw Ridge and Arrival, because I support all sci-fi and all war films. So I'm glad to see that there is a sci-fi and a war film nominated for Oscars 2017. That's pretty epic. It's pretty awesome.
I will say I agree that it's nice to see a sci-fi film in there, because the last sci-fi film that was nominated was like fucking Star Wars back in 1977.
Really?
And you wouldn't even really call that a sci-fi film in a lot of ways.
You wouldn't call Star Wars a sci-fi?
No, you'd call it like science fantasy or something.
Right.
Like, it's not really, you know, it's not about the future.
It's definitely under the... It's potentially about the future.
It's a long time ago.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Yeah, okay.
And it's also not like, none of the technology is like, you know, realistic. None of it.
Laser guns are based on a real emerging technology.
Okay.
The military, the American military has laser weapons.
Well, I just think
they can shoot down planes. I've seen a video. They shoot down planes with laser weapons from boats.
Overall, the Force will not be being incorporated into the landscape.
Okay, sure, but that still fits under the umbrella of science fiction.
Sure. Well, no, let's say sci-fi then. That's fine. But I just, you know, there's nerdy sci-fi like that you rub one out to on the daily, and then there's Star Wars sci-fi which you poo-poo on the daily.
Well,
in fact, you brought up Neil deGrasse Tyson poo-pooing on Star Wars in an episode of this podcast, if you will recall.
Yeah, but I much prefer... he prefers Star Trek to Star Wars, and that bumped down my respect of Neil, if I'm honest. Not my respect down a little.
I wonder how his respect for you is at the moment.
Well, it depends if he's read my tweet or not yet.
I think he did, and I think that went down further based off that.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, I've seen Moonlight, Arrival, Hacksaw Ridge, and La La Land, and Manchester by the Sea. All pretty good films. To be honest, I mean, Hacksaw Ridge to me is the worst of all of those by a considerable amount. Which won Best Editing, by the way.
Right. Well, I couldn't see any fault with the editing.
There's nothing wrong with the
top
editing.
Of my head, you know. I don't particularly remember the editing, but I didn't have any fault with it.
Lots of Christ metaphors in the editing.
Right. Yeah.
And it was by John Gilbert, who is a New Zealander. I believe he edited like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that.
Oh, I might have to send him a message if he's keen to pick up a bit of Pigville work.
Yeah, we could do with another editor. So maybe we'll ask an Oscar winner who's based in LA.
Well, he is a Kiwi. So we do have a brotherhood.
I'm not sure if he is. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But
I thought you just said he was a Kiwi.
No, he is. I don't know whether he's based in LA or
right.
not.
Yeah.
But I did also hear a story, maybe about John Gilbert, which essentially is like, he does not touch an editing suite. He personally sits next to his assistant editor and points at things and says, like, do this, do that, because he does not, like, in the old days, the editor wouldn't necessarily interface directly with the moviola and all that shit. And so he doesn't interface directly with Adobe Premiere or Final Cut. He has his lackey do that, and he's just the guy telling him what to do.
That's a pretty sweet gig if you can get that up and then win an Oscar for it.
That's an unverified story. I just heard that.
Yeah.
So anyway, my opinion here is, because also there was this big thing is like, oh, Moonlight has to win it. Moonlight has to. If La La Land wins it, it's going to be another situation of Oscars so white. And Moonlight did win it. But I don't really agree that Moonlight was necessarily the better film. And again, there's been a lot of Facebook stuff of people going like, fuck La La Land, haha, you know, Moonlight wins, bloody had to. Look, they're different films, they're about different things, they're in different styles, and I don't really see Moonlight as being like so much better than La La Land. I was kind of underwhelmed by it, to be honest. And it seems like it's super relevant and important because it's a story about a gay black man as opposed to just a gay man who's not black. And that, while of course it's important to shine a light on all these things, I don't know, it seemed like I'd seen this story before, but just not in the context of it in black culture, I guess. But had it not been that, it would have just been another pretty typical story of like, you know, but you know, it was a great remake of Boys Don't Cry.
Right.
So I don't really know. I was not a huge fan of Moonlight personally, but you know, that was that. Best Actress, Emma Stone, La La Land. Yeah, she was great. Best Actor, Casey Affleck, Manchester by the Sea. Also, a lot of controversy over this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone's like, fuck Casey Affleck. The chick from, the Denzel Washington should have won it again for the third time in a row. Not in a row, but for the third time. That's just greedy. Don't give any more Oscars to Denzel. He doesn't need them.
Andrew Garfield
in Hacksaw Ridge
should not have been nominated.
No, not really.
Like,
well, it wasn't
his fault,
but it was a very earnest performance.
It was.
I mean, you can't fault his portrayal. It was just cheesy character.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
But on the same token, like, I watched Manchester by the Sea. I thought it was a very good story, and his acting was fine in it, but everyone's like, he's just the same person over and over again. It's like, well, do you mean just a consistent good actor who plays roles that are like similar to him because he is a white guy at this age of his life? Kind of just seems like, and it's like, he didn't even do anything. Like, I've watched Manchester by the Sea. You would call the performance understated. You would say that there was no big histrionics. You know, there was no Denzel Washington, I'm King Kong up in this bitch, which he won an Oscar for, Training Day. There was nothing like that. It was just this man who had this serious trauma happen to him, and how he was sort of dealing with it day to day, and he was quite a, like, you know, he didn't talk about his emotions that openly. It was great. I thought it was amazing. And that's the thing. Sometimes it's almost like people want someone's got to have those big actor moments, or it's not acting. And I don't think that's true. But we'll leave the special Oscar edition at that.
Will we? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Best picture, best actor, blah blah blah.
All right. Well, look, that Hacksaw Ridge really made me angry. I know we've said this before, but it really made me angry. It did. It just made me angry.
Well, imagine if it had won. You would have been flying into
No.
a rage.
I would have been happy because a World War II war film won an Oscar, right? So I would have been like, fucking sweet. They're obviously going to be making more of those, right? They'll just do it. They just won't get that fucking Mel Gibson in, fucking give him the heave-ho and get somebody in to tell the story properly. Because, like Steven Spielberg is the guy to win an Oscar for a war film.
Yeah.
Did Saving Private Ryan win anything?
I'm not sure. It certainly was nominated. It may have won that year. I know Schindler's List did win.
Right.
But maybe it didn't win Best Picture. We'll have to research that one.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, that made me really angry because of the shitty portrayal of combat. Now,
what made me angry about that film was the Christ metaphors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But everything was just...
surprisingly, I was not so upset about the Christ metaphors. I was like, I didn't like how at the beginning of the movie, right, there's some guy who comes, like the movie's starting, and there's a guy, like the producer or somebody, who stands up on fucking screen and he goes, if you want to hear more about, whatever this religion is that he's a part of, basically, if you want to hear more about our Christ and Savior Jesus Christ, go to such and such website.com and find out more. You don't remember that? At the beginning of the movie, it was like the producer or somebody like that, somebody behind the scenes that was like, what was the name of Andrew Garfield's character? Do you know? Do you remember?
Nah.
Okay, well, let's say his name was Garfield anyway.
Garfy.
And it goes, it was something like garfieldsfaith.com, something like that. So it was his name, the character's name.com.
Before the film started.
If you want to hear more about it. But they didn't say Jesus specifically. They just said, if you want to hear more about garfieldsfaith.com, go to that thing. And they directed people. Well, I didn't make it up. They directed people to a website which is religious propaganda at the beginning of the film, before it even started, saying like, if you want to find out more about this guy's faith, and they're trying to make a martyr out of him, or a saint out of him, and so they that's why it had all this religious stuff kind of jammed in it. But that isn't why I hated it. I didn't like that they did that, but that isn't why I hated it. Like, religious people are allowed to make movies too.
No, I didn't. I mean, my issue is always like when something is like, because I was caught up in it. I didn't mind what you disliked, which was the war stuff.
The terrible portrayal of combat.
I was okay with that, although, it did push it a little bit too far at some points. But it was more to me like, I was like, everything is so on the nose. Like, every beat, every character thing is so, like, explicitly laid out to the audience. Like, here's the trail of clues for you. Here's the turning points that are we're going to telegraph every single moment. So please don't do any thinking for yourself. Yeah. Don't come to any conclusions yourself. Just follow all these giant, big neon signs that we've placed in this film all over the place to cue you for an emotional response, or for a moment when you go, oh, yeah, of course, because back to the book, or, oh, yeah, of course, he's got the photo and the thing and the thing. And that, to me, is like, that's Hack Ridge. Hacky filmmaking Ridge.
And it was all just so melodramatic when there was things like
melodrama. Yeah, absolutely.
There was like, it was like, okay. So he's about to be sentenced to this thing, and it's going to be really bad for his character, and he won't even get to go away to the Pacific to fight. Oh no, what's he going to do? He's in court. Oh no, what's he going to do? Oh, his dad bursts into the room and somehow just magically convinces a military tribunal to let him go, and let him go over there. Now, obviously, it is based on something that really happened, but that's not how it happened. The dad didn't burst in at the last minute. That was the scriptwriter's choice, was like, oh, let's make it to make this heightened drama. Let's make it, instead of his dad's old military connections got him out of trouble.
Yeah.
Let's make it that the dad bursts into the room at the last minute with a letter from a high-ranking general. It was just so unrealistic and stupid. I was like, this is dumb.
That was a bit silly, but it was also one of those situations like. It was, again, that's a classic Telegraph turning point right there. It's like, all is lost. No, definitely all is lost. Oh, but wait, hang on, out of the blue, the dad, of course, thank God.
And also, now this means that the dad and son have a better relationship.
They've reconnected because he was abusive earlier on.
Yes, that pissed me off. So I have, speaking of good portrayal of combat, I have started watching a show called Generation War. It's a German... 3-part series.
Told from Hitler's perspective?
Told from the German perspective, fighting on the Eastern Front, which is the front against the Russians.
Yeah.
It's very, very good. I've only watched 2 episodes, but I really did love it. It's kind of like a Band of Brothers, but told from the German perspective, which is something that I'd been whacking about for years. Just the concept. Years ago.
The concept had got you
when I was watching Band of Brothers,
into a frenzy.
I finished Band of Brothers and I was devastated. And I watched the Pacific, which is Band of Brothers set in the Pacific essentially, and I was quite disappointed with the Pacific. And then I always thought, man, I'd love to see this from the German perspective. Because every time you watch a war movie in the Western world, and Hacksaw Ridge was terrible for this, they portray the enemy as not humans. It's like, in Hacksaw Ridge, the Japanese you never really saw their faces. You never really saw them say that much stuff.
Well,
they kind of...
Have you seen Letters from Iwo Jima? And
I have, and I didn't really like that either.
Well, what about the follow-up, though?
The follow-up, the one...
from the Japanese perspective.
There was Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
And I can't remember which one was which, but it must have been Letters from Iwo Jima is presumably the one from the Japanese perspective. Yeah. But I could be wrong about that, because anybody can write a letter from Iwo Jima. It doesn't matter which side you're on.
I guess that's true.
And also, Flags of Our Fathers doesn't tell us much either, because that could be the Japanese Flags of Our Fathers, you know. So I can't remember which one's which. But I think I need to rewatch that, to be honest. I haven't seen it for a long time. But I don't remember loving it. Anyway, Hacksaw Ridge really made this thing where it's like, they're kind of these faceless dudes running around, and you're kind of just shooting them, and you don't really care when they die or anything like that. Whereas I always thought it'd be cool to see the enemy as real human beings with families and thoughts and hopes and dreams. And then, of course, you see them get killed, and so the stakes are higher. You care more when every time you see one of them die, and you find yourself rooting for the Germans. You're like, oh no, I don't want you to die. You're the protagonist, sort of thing. So anyway, that is pretty good, and I am desperately trying to find episode 3 because I only managed to find episodes 1 and 2, and I can't legally find it anywhere, and I did try, unless they want to send me a fucking DVD on Amazon, and I don't have, what is it, $19.99? I have a DVD player.
You don't have a DVD player?
No. So yeah, I'm desperately trying to find episode 3 now.
Well, speaking of you whacking it...
What?
Speaking of you whacking yourself into a frenzy... I'm
not sure where you're going with this.
I went to your room the other night.
What? You pervert?
At I don't know, was probably about 10 p.m.
It was between 10 and 11.
It was 10 p.m.
It was between 10 and 11.
And I knocked on your door. Because I needed to film a couple of pickups for Older, and I needed to get what I hoped was Harley to call me on his phone to pretend to be someone calling me, and then I would film the call, basically. But when I knocked on your door, you were...
I was flat out.
You were indisposed.
I was working very hard that night, Guy.
You were currently indisposed.
I was very busy doing very important Pigville work, and I was not to be interrupted.
Never interrupt me in my room when I'm doing my work.
I'm doing my Pigville work, Guy.
So I knocked on the door. And you said to me,
I said, it goes, well, I wouldn't. From behind a muffled door, well, I wouldn't.
Can you imagine, like, that's almost, not quite, but almost as bad as just walking in. Because then you go, okay, well, what situation?
What is happening in there?
What grotesque situation? Like Harley splayed on his bed, like fucking full on naked, like just
fucking jackhammering my doo-doo hole with a bloody dildo,
like just 100% going crazy with like porn, like on the big screen,
multiple screens,
like just all at once,
just like jizz hanging off my ear.
Yeah, so quite a horrific scene to speculate on.
Yeah, and did you speculate on that for a while?
Well, I had to, because I was like, oh, well, okay, so he's jerking off in there. All right, well,
you were like,
even mentally, okay, so what is he doing in there? He's jerking off in there. Okay, well, my mind then conjures him jerking off in there, because that's what he's doing.
Also, because, the thing is, when somebody's jerking off, right, there's different types of jerking off. Okay, and you knock on the door, right? And generally speaking, if you knock on the door and somebody's whacking it,
they can stop.
They can stop. There might be a bit of shuffling from behind the door,
a bit of a cough, a clear of the throat.
I'm just getting ready to have a shower, so I'm just
just give me a second to get changed.
Yeah. Now look,
I'm just getting changed at the moment. Just 1 second.
I didn't do any of that. None of it.
No.
I didn't do any of that. I simply said no.
Simply bowed down in defeat to the idea that you were
there was just too much to clean up.
Like, there was so much masturbating going on.
The room was in such disarray.
It was so wildly masturbating that there was absolutely no chance of covering it up or stopping.
And guy was like, well, how busy are you exactly? Because I really need somebody to call my phone.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what's your mate Shani up to? Now, look, I'm just going to let the viewers speculate as to what was going on behind those closed doors. I'm just going to let them conjure up their own images as to why I could have been so unable to even pretend to answer the door. I mean, you can open the door and poke your head around the corner.
You can open it a crack.
Yeah, open it a crack and poke your head around the corner and go, oh, yeah, I'm just getting changed after a shower, so I'll be with you in a minute.
You would have been better off not to have replied.
Well, yeah, but if I literally do not reply, what happens if you open
the
door a crack? You go, oh, maybe he's like, yeah, whatever. Maybe he didn't hear me. Or
maybe he's got his headphones on while he's masturbating furiously and he can't hear me.
Yeah.
No, I would have just gone, well, he might be asleep.
He's indisposed.
He might be asleep, so I don't have to speculate now.
Well, look, Guy, to that I say honesty is the best policy. Okay? So, honesty is the best policy. Look, my girlfriend is on the other side of the world.
I know.
Okay? You gotta knock on a man's door at 10 p.m. at night while his girlfriend's on the other side of the world. You better come equipped, son. That's all I'm saying. You better come prepared for any eventuality. That's all I'm saying. So, yeah. So I'm glad we spoke about that. That's good.
That's cool.
That's
that
good.
happened.
Now, are we done with the wanking for this episode?
Done with a good old-fashioned beat session.
Now, Immi. Moving from wanking to Immi. Immi the Vegan. We are shooting a web series soon. We've got a few exciting projects on the horizon. Guy's directing. I've got a supporting role, and we're helping produce, alongside Immi, a web series called Immi the Vegan. And I think it's going to be funny. We're filming on the 10th, and that's going to be good. Now, speaking of Immi, she wrote an article which we absolutely must shout out. It's on a website called The Pantograph Punch. Now, they have their own Facebook page, but I've also shared it on the Guy and Harley Facebook page, facebook.com/Guy and Harley, and there's this article there about nurturing superfans. And
it is a great article, though it does seem that we complain a lot about creepy fans in it. Do you think?
I didn't think it was too bad, and I also think that most legit fans would think we're not talking about them, you know, like
which we aren't, of course.
Which we aren't. We're not talking about the Filthy 50 or the Hardy Hundy.
But it definitely, there was kind of a skew to it of like, these guys are freaks, and I don't want them coming around here. It's fucking freaking me out.
Well, that sells, right? And they used the example of Anthony Fabian, who you will recall. Anthony Fabian was a long-time follower and supporter who got upset when I didn't meet him in Hollywood when I went to LA. He wanted to meet up, and I didn't meet with the guy. And to be fair, he always posted sexually explicit like comments and lewd sort of things. So of course it made me go, oh, he seems like a totally normal guy who I'd like to meet with, you know. So, you know, they sort of talk about that and that type of stuff. And that's because that's the sort of thing that sells. And speaking of Anthony Fabian, he deleted me after that, you will recall.
I will, yeah.
And he has recently started following me.
He's back on the
So he's not a friend, he's a follower now.
He's
almost,
back on the
almost
bandwagon.
Almost better. Means I don't have to see his feed, his news, his posts, but he sees mine.
Well, the listeners can read the article and decide for themselves.
Yes, so you can do that by going facebook.com/Guy and Harley. It's called the Pantograph Punch, and it's about nurturing super fans, and it's essentially how we interact with listeners and followers and so on in such a way that manipulates you guys into thinking that we're awesome and you want to keep supporting us. No, that's not it. That's kind of it. And there's something else I was going to say. Oh, that's right. It puts us on a par with... And the article is so great for us. So well done, Immi. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It puts us on a par with Tom Hearn, producer of The Dark Horse and the recent film Pork Pie, which just came out, and Adam King, who has a very successful web series called Viva La Dirt League, and who is sort of a mover and shaker and doing lots of exciting stuff here in Auckland as well. And it puts us on a par with these guys who are in reality far, far above us, mostly.
Light years ahead.
Well, we're ahead of Adam King in the sense that we've got a feature film out and another one coming out. He doesn't have any features out, but he does have a successful YouTube channel.
That makes money.
Yeah. They're making money from Patreon and YouTube, enough money to continue to make their content
enough money to
fulfilling.
Yeah, to employ someone full time now, apparently.
Right.
And hundreds of thousands of views on every single thing they do, and updates. I think they released 3 episodes of week. Something per week at least.
They do. They do one set in the electronics store, one random one which could be any sort of skit, and one which is the epic NPC man, which is a non-playable character in an RPG who has become self-aware.
And they just announced that they're putting one of them on full time because they'd gotten over $1,000 per month US Patreon.
From Patreon, yeah, which is what I'm hoping to achieve here.
Where are we at, Harley?
I think we're at $21.
$21
a month.
Okay, well, got a little way to go.
But you got to start somewhere, and I tell you that's pretty good. I'm pretty stoked with $21 a month. I'm really stoked, to be honest, because that's these guys, these listeners, and they are all listeners. Who are saying, we want to support these bums, so we're going to give them a little bit of money to do that, and I'm pretty excited by that. But of course, I do want to increase it, so if anybody out there wants to help us reach our goal of $1,000 per month, go along to patreon.com and search Pigville, and that's all you need to do, and you can sign up there to give us $1 a month to listen to this podcast. So if you're listening right now and you're feeling a little bit bad, because you're fucking us by not paying for this excellent content, just go along, give us $1. No, we do appreciate you even just listening. That's still good.
That is really. We
don't want to call it the Hardy 99.
Yeah. Well, I thought the Hardy Hundy had become the wonderful 150.
Did you?
Yeah, because 2 episodes was over 150.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is it. We just hit 150 now.
Yeah.
But then we went back down.
I also quite liked the Nifty 150.
Nifty 150 works.
That rhymes, but nifty is a very old-fashioned word. That's quite nifty. It's something your mum would say.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But if you, the ways also that you can help is obviously share the podcast. I know that there's a lot of reluctance to share the podcast.
There is, because I think for a start, the titles are often filthy, okay? Yeah. the titles are often filthy. And then on top of that, the content is often filthy. And people are like, I can't share this on my news feed.
It's an acquired taste.
People are going to think I'm a pervert.
Yeah.
These guys are idiots.
Yeah. There's that risk for sure. But the shares and the likes do go a long way. And also, which we haven't talked about in a while, just the review on iTunes, man. That's the easy 5-star review on iTunes. More 5 stars we have, more the algorithm pushes us up as a thing to tune into. So that would be cool. Now, have you got something else? I've got only really one other topic.
I'm doing stand-up comedy in about 5 days. I've entered a competition, a stand-up comedy competition, and I'm completely unprepared. Absolutely unprepared. I haven't even run my set once. I haven't done any live performances for ages. I haven't done comedy for who knows how long. Probably last time was about 6 months ago. I did it once, and now I'm in a competition in 5 days. And even my poetry lately, I fell off the bandwagon because I fell off the wagon because I got trolled. I got bullied by that horrible little hipster who had a show incidentally last night. She was the feature poet last night.
And where were you? Not heckling her.
I was gay raping somebody at the time in Tongariro.
Yeah.
But I was not there heckling her.
Yeah.
And I even hit like on it. I was like, I'm going to be the bigger man.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the bigger man. I'm going to hit like. Good for you. Good for you, I said. Cunt. But, that's fine. I was being supportive of the entire community because I'm a better person than her. And so, anyway... But
what did you just call her before?
I said I was a better person than her. And so... So anyway, I haven't even been doing poetry. So I haven't had much time on stage, and now I'm in a competition next week for stand-up comedy. So, I'll let you know how that goes.
Well, look, I'll say you got nothing to worry about because you're doing the same routine you've done for the last 3 years.
Well, yeah.
You've got no new material. I'd only be concerned if you had new material.
Yeah.
But you've completely given up on that.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
It's just going to be the good old Indiana Jones and the Temple of Poon routine.
Yeah. Temple of Poon, that'll be in there.
Temple of Poon will be in there.
Yeah.
Jokes about where the clitoris is. Well, that old gem. That hasn't been that's a comedy goldmine that's been so far untapped, right? Not knowing where certain parts are on a lady, that's never been done before.
Are you trying to undermine my confidence here, guy? What are you doing? What's the point of this? Where are you going with it? We're supposed to end on a high.
I don't know, it was good 3 years ago, but all I'm saying is it might be time to get in some new stuff there.
Well, that might be true, but it's not the time to do new stuff. Is not my first time. It's not in a competition. Stick to what you know. But also, I've only ever performed comedy something in the vicinity of 9 times in my life, maybe 10. Right? So that set, despite being 3 years old, I actually wrote it 8 years ago. Is actually quite fresh in the sense that it's only ever been performed 10 times.
Well, it's quite fresh in the sense that you haven't performed it much.
Yeah, well, that's the point, right? People are not...
Well, no, but fresh in terms of
it's not cutting edge comedy or anything.
Yeah, and where you're at comedically as someone as a joke teller today is probably quite far away from where you were 8 years ago when you conceived of most of that. Well,
yeah, but I have also somewhat refined it a little bit. But I really need to work on that. That's the point. This week I need to trim the fat a little.
Lose the Temple of Poon.
No, you can't lose the Temple of Poon. It's integral. But I did perform poetry again the other week. Get back on stage for the first time since my heckling. Nailed it. Went really well. I performed 2 brand new poems and it went really well. So I was very happy. I just haven't had the chance to go back yet. But I will.
Well, good luck for that comedy set.
Well, you'll be there, right, buddy?
I will not be there. What time? What day is it?
I think it's Monday. Next Monday.
Oh, I definitely won't be there. I'll be working.
Right.
But, yeah, well, speaking of work, we should open up the Uber files for this week.
Oh, good.
So, had a couple of Uber incidents on the road. Now, one, I really didn't know how to react to this one. So, this was about, 2 a.m. On a Saturday night. pulled over, picked someone up from the clubs along Ponsonby Road, and started driving them home. I was like, how's it going? She's like, good. I was like, cool. How's your night been? Good. Cool. She then proceeds to burst into tears.
Describe this person for us.
Just a lady probably in her 30s.
She hot?
Relatively attractive. Not a total knockout, but still certainly an attractive.
Okay, I'm just asking to paint the picture for the listeners.
Attractive woman, banging bod.
Well, don't objectify it.
Well, no, you just asked me to
just painting a picture for the listeners.
Yeah, for the listeners, painting a picture
of that hot bod.
But anyway, so and then she just burst into tears, and then proceeded to cry for the entire duration of the Uber ride, which was quite long. It was about a 16-minute Uber ride across to the North Shore.
And did you ask her what was going on?
See, there's the thing. I did not, because she wasn't like crying to me.
Right,
she was like crying down, like trying to conceal the fact that she was really sobbing uncontrollably and like clearly kind of ashamed that she was crying. And this is one of those things. It's like the Uber driver can be your best friend, or he can be some fucking weird rando who's bothering you when you're trying to have a good cry.
Well, yeah.
And that's the thing, is like, for me, if I was having a cry on the Uber on my way home, like returning from the 2015 Writers Guild Awards, I was crying continuously all the way home after losing to Deathgasm. I don't want the Uber driver go, so my friend, what seems to be troubling you? I did not want that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to sob in my tears of despair and shrink into a hole in the ground. And so I really, like, several times, this Uber ride stressed me out, because I was like, is she going to stop crying? Does she want me to ask?
How noisy was this crying?
It wasn't super noisy.
Like, was she really trying to hide it?
She was definitely trying to hide it. The head was down, the hand was up, to kind of cover the face.
Yeah.
The sobs were intermittent and...
yeah. Yeah.
That sort of thing. And it was kind of like, I feel like there's a wall here, and do not be disturbed. There's a do not disturb sign on this lady. And she doesn't want me to go, hey, so tell me all about it.
Yeah.
So I didn't.
Well, obviously I wasn't there, but it does seem like maybe she could have held off another 15 minutes till she got home and had a cry.
Well, that was
but she was a small part of her was hoping for some
shoulder to cry on.
Yeah.
An Uber driving shoulder to cry. So I really didn't know what to do. I was on the verge many times of being like,
you see, you're getting tears on my seat.
Will you shut up? I'm trying to drive here and I'm finding your crying really distracting right now. No, I was, but several times I just want to say, you okay? Is everything okay there? And I was like, kind of sort of open my mouth and be like, no.
I guess it really depends.
This is too weird and awkward. Like, I'm not her friend. I don't know her. Like, what? What the what? So I didn't.
You might have made the right decision.
But, listeners, tell me what you think. Should I have...
preferably female listeners. Let us know.
Intervened and said, hey, like, are you okay? But I mean, it's like, what am I going to do? Also,
I'm
the Uber driver.
But I'm not talking about like you being like, oh, so like, tell me all about it. I'm just saying, as a courtesy, as a just a thing, you right back there? You're going to talk about it, sort of like if it's just a little something that says like, are you okay back there? Because on the one hand, she could just be a drunk woman in her 30s who's crying because she doesn't have a husband and she got drunk in Ponsonby, and now she's like, and like one of her friends was mean to her, and she's like, I'm too old for this clubbing shit, and I'm so depressed about this whole situation, and and I'm having a cry about it, and it's a silly thing. Or it could be that some very traumatic event had just happened to her and she was not okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's no way to know without actually asking.
Well, now I'll never know.
No.
on the same token, picked up someone who started immediately abusing me.
Right.
This was the first instance where I asked someone to get out of my car.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa. Did you get a 1-star for that?
No, because I didn't start the ride and then I reported them through the Uber system.
Yeah.
But basically, they were so basically what happened, I pulled up to where
What time of night was this?
This was it wasn't even that late. Probably 12 maybe.
Right, but it was a drinking situation.
Yeah. So I pulled up to where they put the pin, waited there, tried to call them, went straight to their answer phone. Tried to call them again, went straight to their answer phone. Gave up, started driving away, and then got called again for the same ride, the same person. So I looped back round, went to where the pin was. They weren't there. So then I was like, well, they must be somewhere around here, but not where they've put the pin. And so then I spotted someone waiting, quite far down the road and went up to them. I'm like, you fucking idiot. What the fuck is wrong with you?
And who was this guy? What did he look like?
It was a girl.
It was a girl?
Yeah. And I was like, well, what are you
Was she hot?
She was relatively attractive.
Okay, I was just painting a picture for the listeners.
She's not
just
a knockout, but banging bod.
But you would have liked to have
I'm just
knocked
kidding,
her out.
But no, she was okay, but immediately the abuse, and then she slammed my door real hard as well, which is probably irritated me more than the verbal abuse.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not sure what you're talking about. And she was like, I've been fucking waiting there for 15 minutes or something.
How old was she?
Probably in her 20s.
Yeah.
Mid-20s. And I was like, look, I went to where the pin said, and you weren't there. And so I drove away. And she was like, I've been standing there the whole fucking time. And I was like, no, the pin said you're outside that bar, which would have made way more sense that she was outside the bar instead of kind of randomly on the corner.
Yeah, well, she probably she probably ordered it from the bar and then walked up the road.
Who knows? But anyway, and she was like, you're a fucking moron, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, look, I didn't do anything. I went to where I was told to pick up. There's nothing more I can do than go to the pin. I tried calling you. Your phone goes to answer phone, and also you didn't call me, you didn't send me a text, you didn't do anything. She was like, I was trying. I don't know if she's trying or not.
Well, it's pretty simple. You press call.
Yeah. So it does seem weird that these supposed calls and texts that she made didn't come through, but maybe that was the Uber app fucking out. Could be. Who knows? But I was like, I didn't receive any calls or texts. Look, here's my phone. You could see that. So I just went to where the pin was. You weren't there. So I started driving around. I saw you there. And she sort of kind of kept nutting off. And I was like, look, pulled over. I was like, look, we can just end the ride right here because I'm not really keen on being abused and I don't really do anything wrong. So, and she was like, and then she tried to turn around on me. And she was like, oh, how dare you talk to me this way? I wasn't like, listen, you fucking bitch. I was like, look, you can just get out because I'm not keen on being abused. And she was like, how dare you? You're insulting me now. And I was like, no, I'm just saying, you can catch another Uber because, I ain't down for this shiz, man. And so she did get out and I moved on. First ever Uber cancellation through abuse.
Right, yeah. Well, the world is full of shit people.
Well, that was you, Harley. Some a-hole who'd put the pin in the wrong place.
I didn't put the pin in the wrong place. I just expect the fucking Uber driver to face up the hill when we're at the end of a dead-end street. So, it's not rocket science, bro. You know which way we're going to be going, eh? You're not going to be going down the hill, are you? No, all right.
No, but like I said, again, that's the thing. Some people want to be parked right out their door.
Well,
it doesn't matter what.
In this particular situation for me, right, where I was at the end of a dead-end street, it didn't really matter which way the car was facing. Either way, he was directly outside my house because it was a dead-end street. There was not really. It wasn't like he was across some road that was really difficult. It really was a case of come on, man. Think about it.
But you're talking about 3 commercial road.
No, I'm talking about in that case, there was 2 different situations. Thanks for giving out our old address.
Well, we don't live there anymore.
I still don't give it out. And so And so anyway, no, it was at my next house after that, which was a dead-end street. You're not listening to me. It's a dead-end street. He was facing the fucking end of the dead-end street. It was dumb.
Yeah, nah, that's fucking... someone asked me, and I was like... Some idiot, some a-hole asked me that. She was like, why didn't you turn around? And I was like... Well, to be honest, this was even dumber, because a whole bunch of people got in. She was about to get in, and then she left the door open and went back to get something. And she goes, why didn't you turn around when she came back? And I was like, well, the door was open.
Yeah.
But also, it doesn't make a difference. And that's what I'd say to you, you dumb a-hole. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference to you. You don't pay any more.
Okay, but it does make a difference in the sense that my time, I'm sitting in the car waiting while you turn around.
I apologise for the 3 seconds, Harley.
So just face the right way and you won't have to apologise.
Or just stop being such an a-hole.
No, just use some fucking initiative and face up the fucking hill.
You're getting the cheapest ride in the world, and you have to wait an extra 3 seconds for the car to turn around.
Okay,
which
but
doesn't cost you anything.
We're talking about
5
stars or not. You know, is it a 5-star ride? Okay, well, a 5-star ride is perfect. A 5-star ride doesn't face the dead end street when it starts. It faces the direction we're going on your time, not mine.
Nah, because again, you still can continue to ignore the fact that most people like to be picked up right outside their door.
But we've addressed this, not in this particular case.
But you're saying not in this
street.
particular case for you.
Well, yes, we're talking about me, guy. We're talking about me, my 5-star rating.
But that's what I'm saying is you cannot say, but ignore your experience as an Uber driver up until this point.
I refuse to believe that you, if you were the one picking me up, would face down towards the end of a dead-end street, knowing full well that you're going up the hill. I refuse to believe that you would do that.
But like, number one, I want to be as close to that pin as possible because
But it doesn't make a big difference because it's the end of a dead end street, so it doesn't. There's not like a big thing you got to cross. If you turn around, you can be in the same place but facing up the hill.
But that's what I'm saying is like, do you know how many times people don't see you when you park to pick them up? Like it happens all the time, and so. You want to be close to the mark so they see you, so they know you're...
Okay, you're on the mark, guy. You're on the mark. You're just facing up the hill, not down it.
But
that's the only difference.
But you're on the other side of the road.
No, you're not, because it's a dead-end one-way... It's a dead-end street, and a skinny street at that. So it's a dead-end skinny street, right? And you can really only go up the hill. There's no reason... There's no across the road, per se. It's a skinny little street. Now, the thing is that you need to go back and have a look at it, and I just know that next time you go down there, you'll be like, I see what he's talking about.
No, I know. I pick people up from that street, and I would park as close to their house as possible, which means that I would be facing the wrong way.
Right, okay, so, but you don't have to face... You clearly don't know what it is. You would be facing up the hill in exactly the same spot. So
on the other side of the street?
No, the same side of the street. It's a skinny little road.
No, because you're not parked direct. I know the street you're talking about.
Okay, have another look. I lived there, man.
Yeah.
Go have a look.
And I picked you up and dropped you off from there.
It's essentially a one-lane street.
It's not.
You can't really fit 2 cars there because there's cars on each side.
At the bottom of the street...
You can turn around. There's space to turn around.
There's plenty of room to turn around.
That's it. But if you're going up the hill, it's a skinny little thing. Look, you've got to check it out. You're going to have to check it out before you can really comment.
I've picked you up from there. But like I said, people look out their window as the Uber car here. Oh, I can't see him because he's parked on the other side of the road.
Okay.
So he looks like just another car.
That's fine, but not in this case. It wouldn't work. That's not an issue.
Well, like I said...
It's the fucking Prius sitting at the end of the dead-end street facing up the hill. Pretty sure that's my ride.
Okay, well, as I said, from my experience as an Uber driver, you go as close to the mark as possible, regardless of the street, so people would definitely see that you're outside waiting for them. And because people prefer to be picked up as closest to markers as they are as possible. So if you don't want to do that, you are the minority. If you are the minority, you cannot downgrade the ride because you're in the minority with a particular set of tastes.
But we've been through this, guy. It's not a situation like that where we're talking about which side of the road we're talking about. What we're talking about here is using some initiative in a dead-end skinny street. Why are you facing the end of a dead-end skinny street when you can turn around and you can be in exactly the same place? You can be in this particular...
You're on the other side of the road.
In this particular situation, in this one lane street, which I lived on, you can be facing you can be in exactly the same place, but facing up the hill instead of down the hill. It's
if you were parked on the wrong side of the street.
No, it's not. There's only one side of the street. It's a skinny little street. It is. I live there. It's a skinny little street where you can't fit two cars side by side because there's cars all parked down the side. So you actually can't. When you meet a car in that road, they need to pull into somewhere to get out of the way because that's how skinny it is. So these Uber drivers, this in particular, this one Uber driver who was facing the wrong way, I was like, what are you doing, man? And the other thing is, the other Uber drivers all turned around and faced up the hill. So your argument that they should be on the other side or whatever, or should be on the correct side, that's fine. Yeah. But there was only one who was facing the wrong way.
But
the rest of them took the initiative, turned around.
But
and
that's what I'm saying. It's like the normal initiative would be contrary to that initiative.
No. The definition of initiative is taking in the current situation and using your mind to figure out the smartest course of action.
The current
which
situation
this guy didn't do, and you are supporting the minority of Uber drivers that pick me up.
No, but the current situation being that Uber passengers want to be picked up as closest to the mark as possible.
Yes.
On the right side of the street that they've requested.
Guy, you're arguing a dumb argument because I'm telling you can be in exactly the same place.
If you're parked on the wrong side of the road.
No, there's no wrong side. It's a skinny little street.
It's not that skinny, Harley.
Guy, go back and have a fucking look. I lived there.
I know.
I lived there. I drove up and down that street every fucking day.
In your motorcycle.
Yes, in my motorcycle.
Not in your car.
And do you know what? In my motorcycle, cars still needed to pull over to let me get past. They still needed to.
Not at the bottom of the street.
Also, Guy, on my motorbike, that's fine. A lot of the time, though, guess what I was in? A fucking Uber. And guess what? The cars had to pull over to the side. And guess what? The Uber drivers faced the right way up the hill. So when I complained about the Uber driver facing the wrong way and saying that this guy was a fucking idiot, it's because this guy was a fucking idiot. And the majority of Uber drivers faced the right way, and I'm sure that you would have too.
No, I would have just picked you up as close to the mark.
Okay, Guy, that's an irrelevant argument because you're on the mark. You're on the mark, but you're facing the right way.
No, because the mark is on one side of the street.
No.
It's not in the middle of the street.
In this case, it's at the end of a dead-end street.
On one side of the street.
No.
Yes.
Guy, okay.
Harley, your mark is on your side of the street.
Yes.
It is not in the middle of the street.
Yes, and in this particular situation... being a super skinny street, there's not really a right or left side of the street. So that's what I'm telling you. So the issue here is you're arguing from a point of ignorance because you're not picturing the street properly.
I am picturing the street. I've picked you up from that street. I've turned around at the bottom of that street. I've waited outside your house at the bottom of that street. So I know that the street, while is skinny as a two-way street, it's still a two-way street. At the bottom of it, there's still a big bit where you can turn around, and there's still two sides.
There's not two sides. There's cars can only park on one side of it. There's not really two sides. There's one side, and there's cars can only park on one side. So, but that's fine. Let's stop arguing about Uber for the sake of the listeners.
Yeah.
And we will almost wrap it up. I did just want to say, though, that we're really hoping to shoot Goodbye Jimmy Reed at some point, because we haven't really discussed that yet.
Yeah.
All right? And Guy is, after this episode, going to take all this inspiration from our heated debate and use it to channel it into some creativity for writing Goodbye Jimmy Reed, which is a very ambitious sci-fi short film that we're thinking about shooting soonish. Guy he's fuming too much to have even a comment about it.
No, I just can't handle this nitpicky bullshit.
Can't handle this. Not being on the side of the minority of Uber drivers.
Can't handle fucking nitpicking over bullshit.
No, you'll see next time you have a look. All right. Well, look. I guess we won't talk about Goodbye Jimmy Reed. We're going to go and not be friends. So thank you very much for listening. Do go along.
Another fucking Uber story.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but it's fine. Forget it.
I don't even care anymore.
No point sharing Uber stories because someone's just going to fucking nitpick them.
No, I liked both your other stories.
Nitpick the shit out of
I liked both your other stories.
Nitpick the shit out of these poor, harassed people being paid fuck all, driving to the marks and being told they're on the wrong side of the fucking street because it's a dead-end street, even though they were where the mark is.
You can hear the pain in his voice, can't you? You can hear it.
It's just fucking nonsense.
You can hear the pain.
Absolute nonsense.
Well, look, on that downer note, we'd better end the episode. You can support us by going facebook.com/Guy and Harley and hitting like. You can buy our personalised signed DVD copies of our first feature film, I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, by going to the Facebook page for the Guy and Harley podcast, or by going to facebook.com/ISAZH. That's I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. And there's a button there to buy a personalised signed DVD. Otherwise, it's on iTunes and probably in your country, hopefully, and it's available in various places. So just Google it and Google I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. Buy legally. Don't pirate it, please. And the other thing you can do is support us on Patreon. We're aiming for $1,000 a month now, as set by Viva La Dirt League and Adam King. So $1,000 a month. Go on. We're at 21. So go give us $1 a month. That's patreon.com and search Pigville. And also give us a 5-star rating on iTunes for this very podcast, because that does really, really, really help us. So unless Guy's got something to add, thank you very much. Good night.
See you later.
You've been listening to the Guy and Harley podcast, proudly brought to you by Pigville Productions.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.